Unwelcome is the newest Shudder original. Well, I think it's the newest one on there. Maybe there's a newer one. I think this is the newest one, though. We watched this last night. I thought I had seen this one, but I was just confusing it with another movie that looked very similar. And so, anyway, this stars Hannah John Kamen, who I know from a few things. I know her from Ant-Man and the Wasp, where she plays like the villain, Ava. She's in Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. She plays Jill Valentine, right? Like I've seen her in quite a bit of stuff, even like in Star Wars for, you know. But whatever. So this movie is about, and now okay, I do want to preface this by saying we typically try to go into movies blind, and if the movie is that for me, that's always the best way to do it, for sure. But when the movie like is surprising and you don't know what it's about, that's when the most fun happens, because God only knows what they show in this trailer.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I can
That's
assure
hilarious.
you it's probably would take a lot of the fun out of it, because I literally had no idea what this is about.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I figured that they were going to be unwelcome to some new town they moved to because they're an interracial couple. Just from like the title and the fact that, he's white and she's black.
I thought it was gonna be like unwelcome, like ghosts, like unwelcome spirits or something, like in the house.
Okay. So, anyways, I will say if you can go into this blind, I definitely recommend that, and I recommend the hell out of this movie because I kind of loved it. I mean, I just loved it. Like I was really big on this one, but I do want to stress that I absolutely think a good amount of people will find this movie to be very silly.
Yeah, I think it's definitely not grounded in reality, but I also really loved this movie. I thought that it was like mostly because of how surprising it was and like what I guess the twist ends up being and the subject matter and everything I thought was really cool. There's a character that I don't like, which we can get into, and I do find that annoying, but it was like there was some good gore. There was some really good kills in this, which was unexpected.
Yep.
And the setting is really cool too.
Yep.
And the acting was great from everybody, so I liked it quite a bit. And but I agree with you. I think some people will find it a little goofy.
Sure. Yeah, we spend a good amount of time at this one house, and we do some like exterior shots of the house, and I don't know if this is like a set and they're using like green screen skies or whatever, because there's a couple scenes where the sky just looks insane, especially towards the end. That I don't even know, that's gotta be green screen or something, but I really liked that. I was really into that, even though it did kind of feel like a set, even if it wasn't. I'm not honestly sure, but I really, really like that. And because this takes place in Ireland, the beginning of it takes place in London.
Yeah.
But then, okay, so I'll give you a brief synopsis if you want to know. For someone who isn't sold, I just think that this film is for someone who is open-minded, can get past some character decisions, get past a really frustrating character, but that's like the point of him. So I don't know. I'm back and forth on that. I still don't like him, but like I tolerated it because of where the film ended up going. So I was like, whatever about it in the end. And because I was so like happy, I was just like, screw it, I don't care. And there's some, and this will be kind of a spoiler for like synopsis here, so here you go. But like, there's some really, really cool creature design.
Yes.
And puppeteering and like animatronic, and I'm sure some CGI as well. But man, that was like the coolest part.
Yeah,
for me,
that was
for
my
sure.
favorite part.
So, okay. This movie is about a couple who has something happen to them, and then this puts kind of a strain in their life. And then the husband, or is it girlfriend? I think it's his girlfriend. He says girlfriend in the movie. But anyways, the guy of the relationship, he inherits this house out in rural part of Ireland.
Yeah, somewhere.
And when they get there, they find out that his aunt, who left him the house, was a little bit of a nutter. And she was leaving offerings for something in the woods that are referred to as the Red Caps. Now, if you're familiar with that, then you'll know exactly what this is about. But if you're not, I'd still recommend trying to just go in blind. But if you still want more, I can say that they look like something out of Lord of the Rings. And that's all I'll say on that matter. But I was not expecting to see them much.
Yeah, I wasn't either, and then we get quite a bit of them.
Quite a bit.
Full-on shots and some really cool things.
This kind of reminded me a bit of like The Gate. Because of the setting, of course, I'm gonna like think like Shepherd or something like that. But there's way more people, right? So it's more of just kind of those like countrysides and like small towns. That one movie we watched, remember that? Like, was it like All My Friends Hate Me or whatever? That's kind of what this felt like.
Yeah.
If you threw in like monsters.
Yeah.
But the last 20 minutes of this movie is where it's really at. Getting to that place was kind of a like back and forth of like, am I annoyed? Do I like this? But those last 20 minutes, it kept going in ways that I was like, oh man, don't go this way. And it wouldn't. And I would be like, oh, thank God. And then it would do something else and I'd be like, oh, don't do that. And then they wouldn't. And they do something cool. And I was like, oh, thank God. Because leading up to that point, I was kind of wishy-washy. I was like, this is all right. And then the last like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I was like, oh, I'm all in.
Yeah. The other thing about this film is that I feel like it's a really satisfying movie for like the villains getting their comeuppance.
Yeah.
I really liked how everything was handled with them, and it was just, like I said, really satisfying.
Minus a few characters that you would
Yeah.
definitely like to have seen killed, and I would honestly watch a sequel just to get that.
Yeah.
Right? Because of how this ends, I'd be super into a sequel.
Sure. I think that would be really cool to see.
But I mean, the last 5 minutes, for sure. I was like, yes, 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 yes. A lot of gore, a lot of cool kills, a lot of freaking, like...
Weird stuff.
Weird-ass stuff.
Yeah.
And just kind of, like, I was sitting there like, oh, wow, like, this is becoming one of the biggest surprises of the year. You know? But, now, had I been... The thing... Okay, so my knock on the film, for sure, is obvious. There's this one character, it's the husband, who is super... annoying and lame, and it's just like, I feel like if we could have gotten a better character and a better I get what they were going for. I do. I just feel like maybe it's like you said, it's the lack of growth where you're like, it's the same at the beginning as it is at the end, which is the point. But it still made it for a frustrating watch. And I just feel like if maybe there's some tweaks to the beginning and the middle to just make it more, like if the characters would have been more relatable.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
that's my biggest issue.
This character, like, he's very unrelatable in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I think that needed to be adjusted a little bit. But as we've been saying, it is also sort of the point of him. Yeah. So it's kind of tough. But, I mean, even despite that, like, this is definitely an instance where having, like, a character that you're not happy with, like, for whatever reason, like, their decisions or their, like, you know, whatever, it doesn't really impede the film for me. Like, I still had a really great time watching it.
Yeah.
and would still like definitely recommend it despite that.
I would recommend it, but I also know that probably half the people who watch this are going to find it to be either too frustrating or too silly in the end, or both. But this is from the director of Grabbers. So if you know that film and you kind of know the playfulness of things, it kind of like, it almost falls into like, Simon Pegg kind of, Shaun of the Dead-esque kind of filmmaking, where things are a little self-aware, but this one's a little more serious than that. Obviously, those are like straight horror comedy. This is like
more horror than comedy.
Sure, but this one is playful.
Yeah.
Especially in the end, where you're getting into characters out of like a Jim Henson movie.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. For some reason, I was thinking
like Labyrinth characters or something.
Yeah, it definitely. I'm glad you said Jim Henson because I wanted to bring that up. That's definitely what it felt like.
Yeah, but I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I would have taken so much more of it. That's why I'm super down for a sequel. Because I'd love to see more of this.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Now that it's been exposed and it's out in the open and we know what we're getting, it's like, give me that. Give me a lot of that. So anyway, this also has Hodor in it from Game of Thrones. And his character is interesting. And I never know how to say this guy's name. Colm Meaney. He is a meanie in this movie.
He is a meanie.
I've seen him in about 6 trillion movies. It's crazy. I think he was even in Grabbers. Or maybe, wait, was he? Or no. I'm confusing him with someone else. But anyway, that's that. Big recommendation from me and from her. Yes. If you're into movies that are playful and serious at the same time.
Yes.
So let us know if you watch it. Bye.
Bye.